You signed a lease for our crime scene? Yes.
Now we haven't, time to cover it up. We have no time. There's no time. I was trying to protect our family.
Let me focus!
Yeah, Joe, you are the expert at hiding bodies after all. Season 3 was really freaking crazy and not what we expected, to be honest. We all thought this season was going to be centered around Joe's obsession with his new neighbor, although she was off in the first episode. Damn, she showed her no love. This season was focused on Joe and Love's dynamic, that they're both crazy and have major inner demons, and those demons will probably destroy their family. Spoiler alert, they do. One thing I found funny was the fights they had. It sounded like regular couple arguments with a psycho twist.
We bury her in the woods.
Because that works so well with Candace.
You want to throw Candace in my face right now? Okay. Right.
The timeline of this season pretty much is, it started off real slow with Joe and Love trying to figure out how to make things work, but by the mid-season Joe wanted to destroy the relationship entirely and be with his new obsession, Marianne. And soon,
the weirdest arc ever ensues.
That I want to look at real quick.
Marianne, you are the only one who could make whatever's about to happen worthwhile.
Pause.
Love's best friend Sherry and her husband Carrie are swingers, and they want to do it with Joe and Love. More like, can you share your husband with me and carry my load? Now, Joe actually agrees to this. His reason is that their marriage is already unstable and doing this will destroy it entirely, which I found to be really stupid and unrealistic. Like, shouldn't Joe have known a swinger scenario would have driven Love, who is known to get insanely jealous, to do something crazy? Which she did, by the way, and that ended with Sherry and Carrie in the cage. This then led to the last few episodes, which were the best in my opinion, and the blazing finale. More on that in a bit though. Speaking of Love, she did cause most of the problems this season, impulsively attacking anyone who she deemed to be threatening her family. And it was really interesting to see her and Joe unite in order to cover up their tracks. Moments like these were super entertaining. Although not gonna lie, this was probably my least favorite season. This show sometimes feels far-fetched and has weird logic, and this season was the strangest. Like Netflix, we already got one strange show, man. Like, You is based on books, and this season strayed away from the original source material the most, and it shows. It seemed all over the place. I mean, one moment Joe doesn't like Love and only cares about Henry, then he kinda does like her and wants to make it work, but at the same time attempts this kinda like diet stalking, if you will, where he plans to only follow Marianne around. Shouldn't Joe have known that even lightly feeding his stalking obsession will turn him into an addict again and lead to a full-fledged obsession, which is exactly what happened, and thus his mind gets fixated on a delusional future with her, and he asks Love for a divorce.
I want a divorce.
Which brings us to the ending. At this point, Love knows that Joe is obsessed with Marianne, and she plans on paralyzing him and killing Marianne right in front of him. In Love's twisted mind, she's saving her marriage. Although seeing Marianne's daughter, she changes her mind and directs all the blame towards Joe.
I'm not the problem. My husband is the problem.
And in classic Love fashion, takes a knife and goes for his throat, although Joe was onto her and knew she was growing wolf's bane in the backyard to likely use it on him. So over a gut feeling, he took an antidote before Love paralyzed him, allowing him to surprise her with his own wolf's bane injection. He injected her with enough to end her life.
I had to finally stop you.
Love's dying words were,
"We're perfect for each other, but for Henry."
And Joe's last words to her were,
"We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special, but you one crazy ass bitch."
But for real, Joe realizes he's no good for Henry and does the only responsible act this entire season and drops him off at a colleague's house.
So sorry. I love you more than anything.
He then types a letter on Love's behalf and makes her confess to all the crimes he did, and even writes that she killed Joe. He does this in order to fake his own death and leave his whole life behind, and then proceeds to burn the house down by playing my mixtape in the oven. After the smoke settles, we see Joe, who's going by the name Nick now, at a bar. He possibly chose his name from Dr.Nicky, but why? Maybe he feels his situation is similar to Dr.Nicky. I mean, Dr.Nicky did something terrible. He used his position as a psychiatrist as leverage to sleep with women, but yet he's paying for someone else's crimes, Joe's crimes that is. Perhaps Joe feels that although he's done bad stuff, he's paying for Love's crimes, everything that happened in Mother Linda. That's why he has to now live in exile. Joe still sees himself as somewhat of a victim. What can we expect from Season 4? In Season 3's final moments, Joe makes it clear he wants to find Marianne, and in the background after he leaves the bar, you can see he's clearly in France, and the bar's name is Chasseur Solitaire. I think this means that Season 4 will be similar to Season 1, where it'll mainly focus on Joe's obsession with a new woman and his constant stalking and meddling in her life. Although I do think he will eventually come across Marianne and will be torn between her and his new obsession, and that's when it'll get really juicy. This is a fruit, by the way, like, relax. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. Thanks. Let me know what you thought of this season. And in Season 3, we learned Joe really couldn't change his obsessive ways, could he? If you want to know why he acts like this, check this video out right now where I explain his dark past and how it created the Joe we all know. Trust me, you won't look at Joe the same way.